It's not too late to transform your marriage into a romantic love that lasts a lifetime. Welcome to the 3 No B.S Secrets for creating an insanely romantic connection that transforms your marriage and uplevels your quality of life, even if your spouse isn't on board yet. What I'm going to share with you will help you to experience the respect, love, connection, attention, and affection you desire. If you apply what you hear, not only can you transform your marriage, your entire life will be different. How exactly would life be different, and why is this important for you to know and apply right now? It's simple, really. Too much is at stake, and time is quickly slipping away. Let's talk about the old way of giving love, which left us with nothing but heartache and loneliness. You see, for too long, we've been expecting love as a condition of marriage and not as a condition of your desire for each other. For too long, we've been conditioned to love unconditionally, and that means we've been settling for so much less than we deserve. And feeling frustrated with having settled for so long is among the leading causes of divorce. And the numbers are downright scary when you consider the huge cost involved and the growing consequences, like having to split everything in half or losing it entirely, plus the impact a breakup has on kids who will have no choice but to be separated from either parent, even as adults when they and their children are forced to split their time between the two ex-spouses and will have to choose which one to visit on every single holiday. Check out these statistics. You probably already know that 50% of all marriages end in divorce. But did you know that 76% of all second marriages also end in divorce? And did you know that in marriages where both spouses were previously divorced, the divorce rate skyrockets all the way up to 90%? And the reason why is that over half can't stop arguing, which leads to over $15,000 in legal fees alone for each spouse, which leads to divorced parents moving into poverty. I'm here to help shatter these statistics right here, right now. Are you with me? During this mini course, I'm going to give you a lot of valuable information and a lot to think about. You'll definitely want to take some good notes, and you'll want to pay close attention through to the very end. Because when you do, not only will you have learned a lot that you can immediately apply in your marriage, you'll also learn how you can gain access to the very next exciting step that I just know you're going to want to take, because it's a pretty big deal. What I want you to know right now is if any of what I'm about to share with you resonates loudly, if any of what I'm about to share with you hits home, if any of what I'm about to share with you has you saying, this is exactly what I need, please know that's your internal alarm telling you that it's time to take action. Let's go. Now, if you're feeling anything at all like I used to feel, I know exactly why you're here. You want to enjoy your marriage, but you're struggling. You can't sleep at night thinking about the disconnect between the two of you. You want to stop all the arguing, but you don't know what to do and you feel stuck. You feel helpless and it hurts. You fear divorce and it hurts. You wonder if anything at all will make a difference and it hurts. You wonder, is this all there is to life? And that hurts too. And if I'm right, you've probably already read all the relationship books, searched the entire internet, listened to everyone's advice, that's if you've even mentioned it to anyone, and considered or even tried couples counseling or marriage therapy. So right now, you might be wondering if this is going to be just another one of those dreadful, fluff-filled, doesn't apply to me straight out of the book trainings you may have attended before. If so, allow me to assure you that this is not that at all. In fact, it's the complete opposite. You won't want to miss any of what I'm about to share with you here. Because in spite of what you may have learned, what you may have read in the past, still things haven't changed for you. And that means you're still worried that if things don't change soon, not only could you be on the brink of divorce, you could stay right there in a perpetual brink where both of you do nothing but stay stuck right there in the muck where you've been for way too long already. And you'll lose countless more years of life that could have otherwise been spent living a life you love with the one and only you chose to love for a lifetime. Now imagine instead if you could have fun together, if you could dream together, if you could connect in a way you never thought possible, even if nothing has worked for you in the past. Because I know that what you truly want is to always be the one for your spouse, and for your spouse to always be the one for you. Now, just to be clear, who this is not for. This is not for you if you want a Band-Aid temporary fix. This is not for you if you blame your spouse for everything. This is not for you if you are bitter, scornful, or resentful. This is not for you if you're not willing to learn how to express love at a much deeper level, regardless of how you feel right now. In fact, most individuals and couples who go to therapy or couples counseling never make any changes at all and still end up in divorce court, only because they weren't willing to take a closer look inside of themselves, not to find fault necessarily, but to grow. And now that that's out of the way, what I can't promise you are my personal results. Why? Because they're just not typical. You see, not too many people out there are willing to do what it takes to achieve the outcome they want. It requires hard work. It requires consistent and disciplined effort. It also requires an investment of time, energy, and money. And although it is my sincere hope that you do achieve the full and amazing life you desire, I can neither promise nor guarantee your results, simply because I cannot promise or guarantee your investment of time, energy, and money. Now, if you understand that, then I'm going to start believing that you are my kind of people. And that means you're still in the right place. Let's keep going, because I know that you want more and you're willing to do more than others would to get it. The fact that you're here right now tells me this. You see, most couples won't have the courage to push past their struggles in order to enjoy their marriage. Sadly, some have grown so accustomed to living without joy that they don't even notice until it's too late, when they're either being served with divorce papers or they're lying on their deathbeds with nothing but regret. But this is not you. Again, you want more. And if you're anything at all like me, you're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen, right? Now, I'm going to shift gears a bit if you don't mind. After all, I think it's super important that you know who I am and why I'm even here talking to you in the first place. I've been compared to Danny Johnson and Jillian Michaels. Here's what some have said. Mimi has really inspired me. You can sense the emotion coming out from her, and it transmits right over to you. She is the best. Mimi is amazing. She's a wonderful coach and motivator. She always makes herself available to you, especially when you need it most. Mimi helps you every step of the way to reach your goals. Mimi's the greatest motivator ever. Mimi is my true inspiration. My name, yes, is Mimi Negron in English, Negron in Espanol. And as a young girl growing up, I always had a love for fitness. Only I didn't call it fitness back then. In fact, in the 80s, no one did. Back then, it was just gym. And I loved my gym classes. And that's a picture of me in the 7th grade. Yep, 7th grade with my gym teacher, Mr. Palmer. Now, fast forward. Immediately after high school, I began coaching. In 1990, I was hired by a local gym. I trained my first client and fell in love with everything about it. And my new career in personal training took off. I was training clients every day. I trained professionals in the healthcare industry, doctors, nurses, chiropractors. I trained students in prep for college sports. I trained other trainers. I even had the honor of training with professional athletes like those pictured here, Gay Gasper, Jose Canseco, and Rich Gaspari. Now, super fast forward. And I'll pin this one on my birth order. But as the firstborn of 6, and by that time a mom of 3, I wanted to share what I'd learned in nearly 2 decades as a personal trainer with as many people as possible in order to help as many people as possible. And in 2007, I published my first health and wellness magazine articles. By now, you're probably wondering what any of this has to do with what I'm about to teach. Well, if you truly are my kind of people, 1, you have patience. 2, you totally understand that there's a point to what I'm sharing. And 3, you know that I'm just about to divulge that next. You see, on the outside, everything looked great. But on the inside, things weren't so good. In fact, they were pretty bad. For all of those years, I was stuck in a lonely, disconnected, and broken marriage. I was a wife who was living as a roommate with separate sleeping arrangements for years. I cried myself to sleep most every night. I suffered from chronic rejection and neglect, and faking all the smiles had become intolerably painful. Feeling consumed by my circumstances and no longer able to walk the talk, I eventually retired from personal training. And this was my everyday existence for 17 years. And during that time, we tried counseling, we tried church groups, we tried going on vacations, we tried having more kids, we tried a fresh start by moving out of state and building a new home. Heck, I even tried reading all the Dr. Phil books available on literally every shelf. Yes, it was a completely different time back then with no internet and very few resources available other than also asking for moms, what should I do now? Advice. Yet all of this is just a small part of the old way of doing things that too many struggling spouses still continue to resort to and rely upon. That's if they even attempt to seek out any help at all. And it's not their fault, just like it wasn't mine, just like it isn't yours. The truth was and still is that the few resources out there were all really just band-aids that could never serve to save my marriage anyway, much less transform it. And sadly, there was a lot more for me to learn the hard way that I wish I hadn't had to. And it was evidence when I grew the courage to finally leave my marital home, because that's when my life did change dramatically. I gained over 50 pounds. I had very low self-esteem. I was extremely depressed and dangerously vulnerable. With my 3 kids, I moved 1,200 miles north to live with my mom. I had to apply for food stamps, government health care, and subsidized daycare. And less than 3 months later, my best friend passed away after a sudden and shocking cancer diagnosis. And then things went from bad to worse. And don't let the forced smile in this pic from 2009 fool you. I was alone. I felt very, very alone. Insecure and all alone, I fell victim to domestic violence at the hands of an old friend who promised to help. This photo was taken at a hotel casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It was a long planned trip for a friend's birthday, and just a few hours after I had endured another violent incident. My friends and family knew nothing. How did I get here? I remember that thought and I remember that feeling, that nauseatingly ill feeling of despair, helplessness, hopelessness, failure, guilt, shame, and disgust. I will never forget it. In fact, it was the intensity of those feelings that my circumstances became so glaringly evident. And I realized that I had allowed myself, listen, I'm saying this again, I realized that I had allowed myself to take on the role of victim. And I knew that if I didn't take control over my life, my struggles would remain in control of me and keep me stuck for the rest of my life. And then I came across these words. Change can only happen when not changing causes more pain. Spoken by Anthony Robbins. What I realized in that moment is that I only had 2 choices. I could do nothing and continue to struggle through my every single day, suffer through the pain and insecurities, and remain stuck in fear of what the future would hold, or I could figure it out and change the course of my entire life forever. So I picked up the shattered pieces, launched forward, and I began to take consistent action. I did the hard work, all of it. I became so immersed in personal growth and development. I invested, I studied, I implemented all the practical teachings, and I got my hands on just about every opportunity I could, including traveling across the country multiple times a year to receive professional mentoring from the absolute best of the best. And it changed everything. It helped me to move in the complete opposite direction of everything I had been feeling and led me instead in the direction of everything I wanted to feel. And not long after, thanks to the internet, plus the recommendation of an old friend to just try it out, along with my own curious attempt at online dating, and in November of 2010, along came Eddie. Funny thing is, as cautious as I'd grown, I knew he was the one because my dear mom had given me her blessing to marry him. And she did this the very day she met him, before he ever thought to ask, before I even fell in love with him. She just knew. Yet only 2 months later, my beautiful and innately intuitive mom passed away after an exhausting yet tenacious battle with cancer, diagnosed just 9 months prior. She was only 55. And it was immediately after then that I vowed, I will not allow the struggles endured by those before me, nor those painfully tolerated in my past, to have been suffered in vain. In 2012, Eddie proposed to me in New York City's Times Square. And 10 months later, we were married with my mom's blessing. I'm getting choked up. Nope. Yes. And now with Eddie by my side, I made my way back to coaching and I focused entirely on transforming lives. That's me and Eddie side by side in front of our class. I co-launched my group Fitness Transformation Center in 2013. And this time I trained my clients a bit differently. And you see the arrows pointing to me on those blurry pictures. Sorry about that. And this time I trained them differently. I listened to what they didn't say. You see, although members came to my facility telling me about their struggles to lose weight, I knew that what they really wanted was something completely unexpected. They wanted to push past their struggles in life, even if they hadn't admitted it yet. With clients now given the safe space to privately share with me their personal struggles, they curiously wanted to know what made Eddie and I so happy. When I taught them what I had learned and how we apply it in our marriage, and they applied it in their own marriage, they began to experience massive changes, not only in their marriage, but in their entire lives. Here's what some of my clients had to say. Susan said, Mimi is a great motivator. She has experienced many of the same struggles, so she knows that they are real and doesn't downplay them. She listens, something many people don't do enough of. Patricia says she is full of energy, but most importantly, she really cares about you. I do. Wanda said, when I first heard Coach Mimi's story, it brought me to tears. She is so inspiring. She is very knowledgeable in her field and has a lot of simple techniques to help with anything you may be experiencing. I am glad that God put her in my life. And after 3 years of focusing on growing a highly successful fitness transformation center, I made the bold decision to sell my share of the business so that I could devote my time entirely to helping my most ambitious clients go after everything they wanted, including the love they desired in their marriage. So I got to work. Action Addicts Coaching was born, predicated on the fact that nothing in life can change for the better without taking consistently bold, intentional, and massive heart-centered action. In addition to multiple advanced fitness certifications earned over the many years, I've also earned advanced certifications as a master level life coach, master level mindset coach, master level relationship coach, empowerment coach, transformation coach, strategic intervention coach, and a master level cognitive and emotive behavioral coach. I launched my professional blog, called Ask Me How I Know, formerly known as the Inspired blog, and I have over 100 published articles to date, and I released The Ultimate Comeback, my foundational self-study course. I've since helped hundreds of married men and women with my full private coaching programs, Awaken the Goddess Within, Roommate to Romeo, and the Power Couple Project. Here's more of what others had to say. Alex said, Coach Mimi has an honest way in motivating people. I think it comes from the hard work it took her to get to where she is. She cares that people find the inner and outer peace they're looking for. Those are the signs of a great leader, trainer, and motivator with the heart of a person who never gives up. Arthi says, Mimi is a wonderful coach and the best I've ever seen. Clara said, Coach Mimi is an inspiration to everyone around her. Mayor said, the best coach I have ever come across. Nicole said, she is an awesome person, very encouraging and motivating. There's something about Coach Mimi, and I'm so blessed to have met her. I'm excited about this new journey I'm taking with her. Thank you, Coach Mimi. You're amazing. And Rayana says, her positivity, realness, and big heart give me life. So when it comes to marriage, I've seen it all and I've heard it all. In fact, I've researched thousands of case studies and have extensively invested thousands of hours to help my clients to overcome their greatest struggles in the most important relationship of their entire lives. And today I'm going to help you transform the most important relationship of your entire life by helping you to create romantic love and connection. Are you ready? By the end of this training, you'll discover what it takes to be able to give and receive love again without hesitation. Warning, this method pushes old habits out of the way and introduces new habits for expressing love so that you grow to enjoy an unshakable and amazingly passionate bond together and for many years to come. So if that's the kind of love you want to feel, trust that you're still in the right place. And now, without further ado, I present the 3 No B.S Secrets for creating an insanely romantic connection that transforms your marriage and up-levels your quality of life, even if your spouse isn't on board yet. These powerful secrets are the guiding principles for lasting love that, when combined with what I'll also be sharing with you later, serve as the framework that I call the blueprint for romance. This is your fast track to romantic communication in your marriage that leads to a fun, connected, and insanely romantic love that lasts. Now, let's go. The first guiding principle is learning to achieve complete and total clarity. Whether you've been married only 6 months or 25 years, having clarity is a much bigger deal than you may think. In fact, gaining clarity requires hard work because way before you can even begin to understand your relationship with your spouse, you'll first need to get super clear about what you want for you. Most don't. And what you really want from you. Most don't. Only after then will you be able to learn what it is that you want for your marriage and from your spouse. This can be a very tough one-way street to travel if you're doing this on your own, but you must step up to be the leader who can achieve this. Otherwise, you'll both be in for a continued rough ride, and that means more stress and heartache for the both of you. Gaining clarity is the one critical shift you can make right now to create romantic love, because what most couples don't realize is that getting clear about what you want and what you want to share and experience and enjoy with your spouse is going to require intimacy, deep, deep intimacy. And that means sharing your soul, probably for the first time ever or for the first time in years. Simply put, you've got to work to get to know each other more than anyone else, even when it feels like the hardest damn thing to do. The key to making this work is to drop all the presumptions about what you think your spouse may be thinking or feeling about you or any situation really. How many times have you heard or said to yourself, I didn't know you felt this way. How was I supposed to know? If I'd known, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have said it. If I'd known, I would have said something to you sooner. No one is a mind reader, you know. And that reminds me of my first Valentine's Day with my then boyfriend. Sounds so weird to say that. Now husband, Edward. We'd been dating for only a couple of weeks, so I made no mention of it. FYI, anyone who knows me ought to know that Valentine's Day is my absolute favorite day of the year. The hearts, the red, the pink, the Hallmark movies, I love it all. Well, on this one day, my Eddie simply did not plan for it. And all day, like a chump, I waited. Finally, I broke my silence and I said, "Well, are we doing anything?" His response, "I didn't know you wanted anything. Why didn't you tell me?" And my gut reaction was, why do I have to say anything at all? Shouldn't he just know? But the short answer is no, he shouldn't. Truth is, we all come from different upbringings, years worth of different influences, different perceptions, different associations, and different experiences from our spouses. Marital problems arise when we build a life around these presumptions that we think they should know this and they should do this and they shouldn't. Marital problems continue when years later you find fault, begin to blame, feel resentment, a growing disconnect between you and your spouse, and then you wonder, how did it ever come to this? Psst, without clarity, it will always come to this. The bottom line, if you want to create romantic love in your marriage, never guess or presume to know anything about how your partner feels or thinks. Instead, you'll have to get clear with knowing your wants and get real with your own feelings, thoughts, and deepest desires. Because if you don't, how can you expect your spouse to? And that brings us to the second secret, which you'll learn about in the next training. In this training, we covered the first secret for creating romantic love and why that's so important. You begin to see how one small shift can change everything. I'd definitely suggest you go back and give it another listen. Pull things out that you may have missed and think about how it makes sense in your life and in your current situation. In the next training, we'll have some fun as I share the second principle. I'm beyond excited to share so much more with you. I hope you're excited too. And I'll see you in the next class.